Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Steelers Game Day pregame. So I'm Mason Spesky, your host here with you. Tonight, the Steelers get set to head to Las Vegas to take on the Las Vegas Raiders tonight on Sunday Night Football, 8:20 kickoff. This is going to be a great game for sure. First road game of the year for the Steelers, first home game of the year for the Raiders. Who knows, though, if it's going to be a road game truly or a home game for the road game for the Steelers, a home game for the Raiders, because my cousin told me today that he expects 75% of the crowd to be Steeler fans. So hopefully he's right and 75% of the crowd is Steeler fans, because that would make it a home game then. Sorry to burp. But let's just set the table for today. I have some good news and I have some bad news to kick off the show. Let's start off first with the bad news. The Cleveland Browns beat the Tennessee Titans today. They're now 2-1. Let's now transfer to the good news. The Indianapolis Colts beat the Baltimore Ravens today. The Ravens are now 2-1. So if Pittsburgh wins, it would be a three-way tie for first place between us, the Browns, and Baltimore. We would have the head-to-head over Cleveland. That would bump them to third, and I assume would be possibly ahead of Baltimore, so that would put us in first place in the division. Even though it's only week 3, that is still huge for us because it'll give us momentum. Next week, we're going into Houston, and Baltimore and Cleveland match up against each other. So hopefully we win these next 2 games, and Cleveland beats Baltimore next week in Cleveland, so that we at that point can hold sole possession of first place in. So at that point, we'd be tied with Cleveland for first, but we'd have the tiebreaker, so we would be in first place in the AFC North. Every football game is important for the Steelers. Every football game is also important for their opponent tonight, the Las Vegas Raiders. Let's start off first by talking about the Raiders. They're coming into this game with Jimmy Garoppolo. It's his first home start for the regular season start for the Raiders. Was signed by the Raiders this offseason. He has experience, obviously, with the head coach, Josh McDaniels. Those two were together in New England with the Patriots way back when. Garoppolo was the late-round pick out of Eastern Illinois. As you guys all know, the Patriots typically pick a quarterback every year, groom them, trade them, or do whatever with them. We've noticed this was Bailey Zapp, Danny Etling, Jared Stidham. Garoppolo was one of those guys. He was drafted out of Eastern Illinois. Played well as the backup to Tom Brady. Then, 2017, he got traded to the San Francisco 49ers in exchange for a draft pick. Garoppolo played very well there, took them to the Super Bowl in 2019, where they narrowly lost to the Chiefs. 2021, he had a good year too. 2022, he had to come in as the starter up until he got hurt and Brock Purdy came in. He still did good. But he's not a bad quarterback. He's actually a solid quarterback, that's for sure. Having McDaniels and knowing the system truly helps, and McDaniels finally gets somebody who knows his system and how he wants the offense to run there. They have skill players for sure. They have Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, Michael Mayer, and then they have a decent offensive line, that's for sure. They'll go up tonight against the Pittsburgh defense led by TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. It'll be interesting to see what happens if Minkah is able to play tonight, that's for sure. But hopefully we see some more of Joey Porter Jr. tonight. I think he did great last week. I really want to see more JPJ tonight in this one. Transfer things around now. We're going to look at the Steelers' offense. Kenny Pickett's going to look to bounce back. I read an article today about how Matt Canada is getting an expanded role, how he's going to be able to, how this new expanded role Canada is being given gives him the ability to directly work with Kenny Pickett now instead of before. So Kenny Pickett will take over. He'll be working with Canada more, that's for sure. Najee Harris, Jalen Warren are going to look to do good things tonight. George Pickens is going to have to step up huge tonight because obviously we still don't have Deontay Johnson. Hopefully we get Calvin Austin the third or the second, I don't know which one it is, I'm sorry, more involved because that'd be huge. He's definitely a speedster and that can dominate Vegas. And then move. We need to throw the ball more to move tonight. Maybe get Darnell Washington involved some in the passing game. That'd be awesome. The line needs to be better tonight, that's for sure, if we want to win this ball game. Last year, or first off, I'll look at the Vegas defenders. Chandler Jones and Nate Hobbs are the two main defenders for the Las Vegas Raiders. They're going to look to have big nights tonight if the Raiders want to win this game and improve to 2-1. Let's look back to now I'm going to move on to the next part of the show. We're going to look back to last year. These two teams last met on Christmas Eve, 2022. It was 3 days after Franco Harris passed. It was the 50th celebration of the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. At that game, they retired Franco's number. It was definitely an emotional night, an emotional ceremony. And that's the night where Pickett threw the ball to Pickens with 55 seconds left. That gave the Steelers the win, 16-13 win over Las Vegas. Carr threw the interception. Little did we know that was his last pass as the starting quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders. Things did not go well in Vegas last year at all. I don't know why. It was probably the quarterback play, but yeah, here we are. And so, yeah, for sure. Sorry, I'm just thinking about something else here while I talk to you guys. So bear with me here as I'm trying to talk and contain some emotions that I have, but I'm totally fine right now. Sorry about that. But anyway, let's get back to the Steeler game here. We obviously beat the Raiders last year. The Raiders are going to look to turn things around. They've dominated Pittsburgh as of late in this series. They won in 2021 when we played them in Pittsburgh in our opener. I forget what was 2018. This was when they were in Oakland at the Oakland Coliseum. They threw that touchdown pass, Derek Carr to Derek Carrier to beat the Steelers late. That was the loss that put Pittsburgh out of playoff contention that year. That was the year Baltimore won the division. Last year of AB, Le'Veon Bell didn't show up that year. So that was not a good year to be a Steeler fan in 2018. We're not going to even talk about that. But one thing I am going to quickly bring up here is I had talked about that game brought me memories because the OCO Coliseum or the Oakland Coliseum, Ring Central, whatever you want to call it. My dad and I, when we were there this year on our baseball trip, we had talked about which end zone, we were trying to figure out which end zone that play occurred in. And when we were looking at how the football field was set up at the Oakland Coliseum way back when the Raiders were there, it was actually a baseball game we were at, but still we were thinking about that and just discussing that and all that. If you want to, please tune into that video. It's called Exploring the Oakland Coliseum. It was from August the 9th. If you want to take a look at that, I highly recommend you do if you're baseball fans. But anyway, let's put the Oakland Coliseum aside. Let's put all that stuff aside. And let's get into our next part, and actually my last part before I make my prediction for you guys. Let's talk about my prop for tonight. I'm pretty good at predicting games. I picked the Thursday night one right. I won 6-2 in afternoon games. Baltimore lost, which I'm happy about, in all honesty. I was kind of pulling for Baltimore at the end because I was 6-0 going into the last two. The last two games were the Chargers and the Vikings and the Colts and the Ravens. And we'll recap all these games and all the other games Tuesday for my week 3 recap. So keep an eye out for that video. That should be up sometime Tuesday. It might be up Wednesday. I don't know when it's coming up. I'm sorry, but it'll be up sooner rather than later. But anyway, though, let's look at the Chargers. The Vikings were driving late in the game, down 28-24. And TJ Hawkinson, who's on my fantasy team, got a couple catches. And Kirk Cousins threw it to him in the end zone. He bobbled it, and it got intercepted. And the Chargers got the win. And I'm like, okay. I was kind of cheering for... I've never gone 8-0 in afternoon games. So I was cheering for the Ravens because I had picked them just so I could reach that. But once the Chargers lost, I'm like, screw it. Let's cheer for the Colts. And now that I think back and put it into perspective, I am so glad the Indianapolis Colts won. Like, so glad. Because now Pittsburgh has a chance to be first place in the division tonight, or at least tied for it. That is awesome, and you couldn't be much happier as a Steeler fan thinking about that, where the team, when you look back to 2 weeks ago and the annihilation we got at the hands of the San Francisco 49ers. So that's interesting for sure. It'll definitely be nice to see us in first place if we can find a way to win this football game tonight. It's going to be a long season ahead of us, though, so don't get too high yet on the team. But anyway, now on to my props, since that's what I was going to talk about. I'm 0-2 with my props. Week 1, the prop was Joey Porter Jr. would get a pick. Obviously, that didn't happen. Week 2, the prop was Najee Harris would score a running touchdown. Obviously, that didn't happen. Week 3's prop is going to be a little easier. It might be more manageable, but it's probably not going to happen just because I'm not good at these. My prop for tonight is this. George Pickens will have at least 100 receiving yards tonight. Write that down. George Pickens will have at least 100 yards of receiving tonight. I think that might actually happen. So definitely keep an eye out for that. That's for sure. But yeah, and that'll be interesting. And now it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for. Drum roll, please. My prediction. So while Pittsburgh's playing well, and while Pittsburgh might have the momentum and all that, I think that the trip out west is obviously not the most convenient. The team flew out yesterday at 9 a.m., so they didn't fly out Friday night like most teams typically do. So that was a little probably inconvenient. It's probably a little inconvenient, obviously, adjusting to the time and all that. I mean, and Vegas is always a tough game on the road. I mean, Vegas, in general, it's a tough game. On the road, it's even tougher. So the crowd might be for the Steelers, but the stadium and all that, the excitement and the momentum will be for Vegas. Vegas is 3-point favorites tonight. I'm going to go the extra step here, and I'm going to pick Vegas to win by 4 points. My final score prediction for tonight is this. The Las Vegas Raiders 21, the Pittsburgh Steelers 17. I know you guys are going to hate me for that, but yeah, it's definitely an interesting score prediction, to say the least. If we win this game tonight, I'll be happy because things surprisingly are getting tough here down the road. Obviously, we're at Houston, who defeated Jacksonville today, but we'll get to that more, obviously, in our post-game show when I preview the next week opponent. And also on Tuesday when we recap all the games. Then we got Baltimore, then the bye week, then at the Rams, then Jacksonville. So it's a tough schedule. October isn't easy by any means for the Steelers. So a win tonight would be huge. And leaving September 2-1 would also be very good for the Steelers. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. I will see you right back here. The postgame show won't be out tonight because I'll probably be in bed. Again, ready to go to bed at least because I have classes tomorrow early. But sometime tomorrow afternoon, along with my Mondays with Mason episode, I'm definitely going to try to get you guys that Steelers Game Day postgame show. There will be a postgame show sometime tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that one. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys tonight. Have a good one. Take care. Stay safe. Let's go Steelers. Enjoy the game. And peace.